Greetings and hallucinations. Thank you. It's going to be a long day. Greetings and hallucinations. Thank you for joining me. Another wonderful Photoshop party day. We're going to have a good time, I hope. I hope. So let's go ahead and we're going to dig into some easy stuff to start with. I just had somebody ask me to send them a Pismo shot, and I'm like, I sent him a couple, including my Pismo pair, and he says, I want this one. Okay, cool. If you want to transfer this between, oh, you can't see this, can you?
No, you haven't shared yet.
I haven't shared yet. Well, let me get back and share. Ay, ay, ay. My brain is not in it tonight, so there we go.
Tonight?
Tonight, I don't know.
We have a problem.
We have mucho problems. I have a Pismo Beach picture that I like a whole lot better than this, but this is the one he wanted. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this picture. Well, I'm not going to save it on my drives that I have. I'm going to save it to the cloud. I'm going to go File, Save As, or Command Shift or Control Shift S. And right here, if you can see my cursor on the left-hand side of the Save panel, it says Save to Cloud Documents. So I click on Save. I'm going to save it as Pismo Pier 2018 number 007. Click Save. It's now saved. Close. Go Open. And it's already set to Cloud Documents, or I can click on my computer and find the picture as well. But I'm going to go back to Open in Cloud Documents. So Command O, click on that picture, and it opens. The drawback to this is if I make a change, let's say lasso these people right here, and I'm going to hit my magic get rid of them button with my action, and might as well get rid of the shadow too because they didn't exist.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And hit my magic get rid of them button, F3. They never existed. Now that's the beach shot. So if I go up here and close, what's been happening, even if I don't save it, I hit close, it didn't ask me if I wanted to save it, but if I go to open my cloud documents, it automatically saved it for me, which you got to be careful of. So
is there a place to turn off autosave?
I do not know.
So that means your original is gone, is that correct?
My original is on my hard drive.
Oh.
So let me.
Yeah, but all the work you've done since
exactly.
Then is gone.
Exactly.
Well, whose stupid idea was that?
Hey, I just work here, folks. I'm not part of Adobe. I'm floating through the preferences to see if there is something that I can find that does that. I don't see anything. File handling. Yeah, I see nothing.
It's saying that if you open up a cloud document, it's assuming you want to resave any changes to the cloud.
So if I was to save it there, then go to my laptop, it would do the same thing. So I will do some research to see if I can figure out a way around that. But at this point in time, I don't know of any way around it.
Huh.
But if I make,
would it give you the history? So if you wanted to reverse the changes, you could still.
no, it does not.
No, it's a JPEG.
It only gives me the most recent history after opening it. So
Well,
a little
no,
word of warning
you
to you.
reopened this already, didn't you? Isn't that the history from the previous open?
No,
right there?
I just took out the lake from when I started. So when I opened it, it looked like this. So I took out that little lake right there
Okay, sorry, I didn't see you do that.
because I did it so quickly.
So then why would anybody save to the cloud if that's going to do that?
If you want to go back and forth between your laptop and your desktop,
Oh.
you can save as. So if you wanted a different version, we'll save this as A, but I think it's going to, it automatically saves for you. Oh. So what I would have to do is get rid of, take it back to open. So if I hit, okay, let's
Can you
close
go
this one.
back to what was there?
I'm looking right now. I don't think you can. So if I go to open, I've now got, they're both the same. It automatically saved for me.
Oh, that's
Okay,
scary.
suppose you told it to save to the 7A. Will it tell you there's another file like that, like it does if you're doing it somewhere else?
No, I just saved it to 7A, and 7 and A are both
It's the same.
the same.
Can you save to 7A? And does it tell you if there's another file there that's the same name?
Let's try.
You know what?
Okay, this is 7A.
Yeah.
So I'm going to save it as 7A,
Oh,
and it automatically did it.
so it just saves it. It doesn't ask you, do you want to say? Oh, that's scary.
Yeah,
That's
really scary.
asking you to
That's why
replace it. Yeah.
that's why I brought this up, so you guys were aware of it.
Holy
Any
cow.
changes you make. So you can always go back to open to where you started and then save it as another file. I also have a hard copy on my backup hard drives that I can work from.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if it's in the help screen. 'Cause that's
I don't
weird.
know if it is. I'll do some research on it between now and next Tuesday and see what I come up
Yeah.
with.
You
But
know,
yeah, that's
some of the app,
When you save,
Kevin.
some of
when
the
you
Apple
save
stuff
to the
does this.
cloud, it automatically saves.
It even before I save it, I think it automatically backs it up to the cloud every once in a while. Because I went
Maybe
to
it's a
save.
cloud option versus a Adobe option. I wonder.
I don't know.
Some
Yeah.
of the stuff in Apple does that, and I know the way I kind of circumvent that is when I open it, if I'm going to make changes, the first thing I do is do a save as and save it as a different name.
Same
Okay,
here.
And
that's
that
a
way,
smart way to
before
do
I've
it.
done anything,
Yeah,
that's kind of a way around it.
Wow. Yeah.
maybe write an action so that you have to do it automatically or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's kind of weird to me that they do that. I don't understand why they did, but they did. So
Now,
One of the things that happens when you save as, if you're a Lightroom user, then it doesn't save back into Lightroom. It saves it onto your desktop.
right,
You have
but
to re-import it into Lightroom.
if you're using the cloud, it may not do that. This is using the cloud version. If I'm just save as a normal file, so let's open it from my hard drive. This is not in the cloud. So if I go to, in fact, if I try to save, hit Command S to save. Okay, it's not going to do it now, are you? Okay, Command S. Could not save because of program error. I'm still getting that. So I don't know what the heck is going on. But if I hit Command Shift S to save as and add a suffix to it like an A, it'll save it as the A. And if I make changes, if I made changes to it, then it would still keep the original on my hard drive. But for some reason, when you do the cloud, it automatically saves what you do to it. So just be aware of that when you're using the cloud.
Now, Michael, if you're wanting to be able to share it between different computers, with Windows, you can actually link subdirectories or drives to other computers. So I can access my photos from basically almost any of my computers, and it then saves it back to the original computer. Now, does Apple have that same capability?
If I connect the hard drives to it, this one, my computer itself does not have an internal hard drive. It's SSD, solid state.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a hard drive in it, and I work on backup hard drives.
Okay.
I'll show you.
But what I'm saying though is you can share the link. In other words, I'm not physically connecting the hard drives to the other computers. It's through my network that I have that I'm able to link them together.
Okay. I don't use a network, so I just have backup hard drives, 3 of them right here
Okay.
on my desk. So that's how I roll. Whoa, stay. Okay.
So I just looked that up online to see what Adobe had to say about it. There's lots of people complaining about it, and they said basically, oh well.
That's Adobe's
And they
response to
said
everything.
yeah, well, they said exactly what you just said though. When you open it, save it, and work on essentially work on a copy, so you've got the original.
I want to make sure everybody understood that was what's going on, so we got that one under control. Okay, back to share screen, desktop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make Command J to make a new layer. I'm going to right click on this area, bring it down, convert to Smart Object. The cool thing about Smart Object is you can make changes as you go. One of the things that's important with Smart Objects, Command T, I'm going to free transform. So I am going to, let's go ahead and tweak it really gnarly. Way down there, hold the Shift key and deform it. That's take a long walk on a short pier. So now you see that I've deformed it and made it small. And so let's hit Command T, tweak it even worse. And we'll bring this side in, make it smaller, hit OK. If you did that without doing a Smart Object, what would happen when you brought it back up to full size again?
Distorted.
It would, you basically destroyed your picture. So let's hit Command T. And we're going to take it back up there. Take this all the way up there. Take this down to there. So we're back up to normal. Click OK or double click on the image. And you can see that I didn't lose anything. It did not hurt it. That's the #1 reason for using Smart Objects. If you're going to size, resize, and resize again, as long as you don't try to enlarge it bigger than what it already is. Once you do that, yeah, you're going to pixelate it a lot. The bad thing about using Smart Objects, it takes up a little bit of memory. So it makes the file size a whole lot bigger, and it eats up your cache a little bit as well. If we put a filter on, not all filters are available, but most of them are. Like lens blur is not available on Smart Objects or Smart Filters. So I click Gaussian blur, and I want to blur really bad. Okay, and then we'll do, let's do another blur just for fun. Go to noise, we'll add noise. Oh, you got to have more than that. There we go, lots of noise. Oh wait, I want to fix the Gaussian blur. So go back to Gaussian blur. Let's take it down to 1/10 of a pixel. We still have the added noise. Well, we can fix that too. Double click on add noise, bring it down to
Add noise, huh?
add noise. So it looks like a
That's kind of nice.
Pete Rezac print. You got noise in it. You can change the filters anytime you want. You can also mask them out. So if I click on the mask, hit my B for brush, and I've got my logo brush up. Let's get a soft round brush and hit, there we go. That got rid of the noise on them because I used a mask in the filter. So I masked out the filters.
Oh, good.
And if you change your mind on that, hit X, paint it back in again.
Oh.
Do you get your mask the same way? Because I don't see the
It automatically puts a mask on there.
Mm.
On layer 1, which is my smart object. It put a mask on when I put the filters in.
Okay.
So
You
put the
put on
mask on.
different mask per filter.
You would probably have to do a different layer for each filter because it just adds on filters on there. I don't think there's a way to do separate filters on the same layer. I think it just adds on the filters. So that's another benefit of smart objects. Let's rasterize that real quick. So we'll click here, rasterize layer, take out the smart object. You can also go up here to filter, convert for smart filters, and it changes it to a smart object. And you can tell it's a smart object because it has this little square right there. I don't know how to zoom in on that for you, but it has a
Does
little.
that act the same way as a layer? So like when you're done and you flatten your image, it just becomes part of the image?
If I hit Command E, I'm on Command E, not going to do it. Okay, flatten image.
No, because you don't have the other one. You don't have the other one.
That would explain it. Yeah, duh. Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad you guys are paying attention. Command E, and it flattens it down. So it's no longer a smart object.
Okay.
It's the filters you just did are no longer editable as well.
Right.
So once you make your decision to flatten it out, you're kind of SOL. Smart objects can really be helpful when you're doing some hardcore editing and you don't want to non-destructive editing, basically, is what it is.
So Michael, besides taking up a little bit more space, what are the other disadvantages of using a smart object?
I can't think of any.
None.
You just be careful how you're working with them, but they are very editable. It's a little confusing. Let's go ahead and close this out real quick. Don't save. I'm going to reopen it as a smart object, I think. I don't know if I can or not. No, I have to do a raw file to do that. So let's try opening as a raw file. Command R or Control R will bring up as a raw entry. And if you click on the bottom line of your raw panel, it says Adobe RGB 1998 8-bit, blah, 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 blah. You can change from 8-bit to 16-bit. And down at the bottom of this right here, it says open as a smart object. So I'm going to open as a smart object automatically. Click OK. And open it up. Open, open, open. It now opened it as a smart object. If I want to do changes to it, I would have to double click on the icon there and it brings it up in RAW. So let's go ahead and change the saturation. And we'll add some dehaze just for fun. And call that good.
So Michael, you had a JPEG and then you opened it as
a raw file.
Raw, okay.
I opened it as a raw file by hitting Command R on a Mac, Control R on a PC. And as open it as a smart object as well. So when I did a smart object, any changes I want to make to this, I can't do. It must be rasterized, or I have to reopen it to make changes in the raw portion of it.
But it's not really a raw file, right?
It's not a true raw file, no.
Okay. It's
No,
already been flattened. It's already been compressed.
it's already been compressed, yeah. Go ahead and change it back, add a whole bunch of saturation, click OK.
Wow.
Ding! That's a little oversaturated there.
A little bit.
Little bit. Yeah. So you can open JPEGs, and I'm not sure about TIFFs. They were talking about changing TIFFs, but I don't know if you can open a TIFF in RAW or not, but JPEGs you can. So if I go to Tools, no.
Looks like a Beach Boy cover.
Actually, it almost does. But that's not my happy place with that one. So let's go ahead and go back and close that guy out. Goodbye. And I'm using keyboard shortcuts, Command W to close. So it closes really fast. October 13th. Let's go to Develop Settings, Clear Settings. Okay, this is straight out of camera. So I'll double click on it. It's a raw file. And that was straight out of camera. A little dark, but that's kind of how I wanted it to start with. So I'll click on autos and it brings up some of the details there. And I want to bring up like the details in the bottom along the waves where it's really dark. So I'll just bring up a graduated filter in RAW.
Oh.
Click on exposure. Click on shadows, bring the shadows up. A little bit more exposure, which brings up too much down below. So I'll drag the bottom of my filter up a little bit. Highlights, I want to go down. So highlights are down, shadows up, maxed out. I'm going to straighten this in Photoshop, but I could go into the crop mode. I think it's in crop mode. They moved it around. So I don't know where they put the, oh, there's my straightener right there. Okay. So I can go across the horizon line. There is no excuse for having crooked horizon lines. There's a little ruler in the crop mode of RAW. So I'm going to open it not as an object because I want to play with it. Click OK. Click open. Open, 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 open. And you can see my horizon line is straight. If you go in the crop tool, hit clear to clear the crops, go to the straighten, you can draw a straight line across your horizon so that you never have a bad horizon line ever.
Wow, that thing's all over the place. I use the ruler, but I've never known it to be in there. So
yeah, it's in a couple of different places. In fact, I think there's a ruler.
There's a ruler in the tools that then allows you to arbitrarily
There's one over
rotate.
here in the eyedropper tool as well.
Yeah.
So it is there as well. I'm not even going to mess with this a whole lot. I'm going to go into filter, Skylum software just for fun. I don't even need to really mess with it that much, but I'm going to anyway. I like Skylum. What's that?
What's fun is trying to get a good horizon on a lake when you have curves and stuff like that on the shoreline.
There are a lot of things where you go, okay, which line do I use? Do I use the real horizon, which will make it look off? Or do I use an arbitrary line to make it look like it's level. And I've used,
Sometimes I have to go in and actually use the clouds to get the horizon.
I did a lightning shot one time and the horizon looked off, but that's only because the land sloped.
Yep.
And what I do is I'll pick one at a time on my, and then hit on the bottom layer down here, and I'll hit Command Z to undo it, because I like right now how this one came up like it is. And that's probably the one that I'm going to keep, because everything else makes the oranges glow way too much. Oh, that's pretty cool too. Nah, it looks too fake there. So I'm going to go with just the basic. Click OK. Processing, processing. And this will be before and after when it gets in. Okay, that's the after, that's the before, using Aurora software. And I think I like the after, but I can also, I can't fade because I've been playing with it too much. You can also hit fade to bring it back as a ways too. Go to filter, camera raw filter, and I want to bring up the colors. Go to color mixer, and we'll go to saturation, click next to HSL. There's a targeted adjustment tool right there, a little bullseye. Click on that, and you can drag up and it adjusts the colors for you, so you don't have to figure out what color you want to mess with. And it did 63 points of purple and 9 points of magenta just to do that. And if I want to do, say, the orange, bring it down just a little bit because it looks overcooked, but it's not. It's the way it was. You can do that as well. And then luminance, you can do the same thing. Do that blue right here, pop it just a little bit, bring down the orange just slightly. Click OK. Take my crop tool and figure out what the heck you're doing with your crop tool, because you don't have a clue. Make a semi-panel out of it. Ooh, look at there. We have surfers in the water. What would judges say about surfers in the water at the beach?
Remove them.
Get 'em out.
Ah, they're distracting. They're just too distracting. Fine. F3.
What?
Goodbye.
Why I don't enter. Judges don't know what they're doing.
You know what? I've been saying that for 20 years now.
Well, I haven't entered for 20 years.
Yet we still ask Mike to judge.
Yeah. Yeah, but he obviously knows what he's doing.
Probably doesn't make dumb comments like that either.
Actually, I do make dumb comments like that because they weren't in sharp focus, so I would have complained about that. I would probably, just for fun, come in here, get a brush, option click or alt click on the color of the light right there, which is a yellowish. In fact, I would add yellow to it. Go away, brush. I want to have yellow in there, so let's go ahead and add some yellow just for fun. And then I'm going to take my brush and see if I can find my star 26. There it is, star 26. It's in your basic brushes. And let's go ahead and screen at, let's do, well, I put it at 44%, see how it comes out. Not very much.
There you go.
There you go. And do a little bit here. What the star brush does, adds a little bit of a starburst to it, as well as, in fact, you don't see very much burst
Don't
there.
really
but,
see it.
yeah. You can see just a hint of a burst.
How
Not
soft do you have? Do you still have the brush all the way down to fully soft, or are you in the middle somewhere?
This particular brush, there is no adjustment for hardness.
Oh, okay.
Let me right click.
And it's supposed to be on screen?
Yeah, I have it on screen so it lightens, but you can put it on lighten, you can put it on normal. You can see on my hardness right here,
Yeah.
there is
Great.
no setting for that. So hit escape. Let's tell you what, we'll put it on lighten and do this one. Pretty much the same, only it's not as yellow as it should be, obviously. It should be yellower, so I'd have to add yellow. I'm just going too quick. Change the brush mode to normal. And I'm using a mouse instead of a tablet right now, so it kind of tweaks it a little bit. You can see just a little bit of a burst coming off of there.
Mm-hmm.
Not much.
Not enough.
Just enough to let you know, yeah, there's something there.
I have a brush question, Michael.
Oh, you're always getting fresh. Go ahead.
Not necessarily this particular brush, but some of the brushes have a directionality to them.
Uh-huh.
How do you switch? How do you change it to point in a different direction with some of the ones that do?
Okay, up in the upper left-hand corner here,
Oh,
there's this little
okay.
steering wheel right there.
Mhm.
So let me do this. Let's go ahead. We're going to bump it to 100%. And let's make it bright white. So we'll go back to click on here. And I'll set my white would be FFF on the color, hexadecimal color down here, or 255 all the way across RGB gives you 100% white. So let's do this. That is the brush as it is. We'll spin it a little bit. You can see a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah.
You can also tell it in your brush modes to.
There's a way to have it randomly scatter, right?
Is it shape dynamics? No. Angle jitter, yeah. Bring your angle jitter to whatever you want, like say 50%. So we'll angle jitter, and it changes every time you touch, or as you paint, it'll change as well. So every time you tap it, it does that. I need to turn that off so it doesn't save it.
Oh, that looks lovely.
Looks like somebody shot up my picture pretty good.
It does.
Pretty bizarre.
Terrible shot.
Okay, any other questions on that? If I was doing this for real, let me go back to history. Brush, 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 brush. Okay, took out those brushes. Let's say I wanted to lighten down this area along the beach here a little bit more. What I would do is I would hit Option or Alt click on the new layer, and it brings up the dialog box, new layer. So I'm going to call this dodge. I'm going to dodge without dodging. I'm going to go from mode from normal to overlay, and then it gives me the option down here to fill with 50% gray. Click OK. Yes, I do. OK. And now I have a layer filled with 50% gray. Go up and get a soft edge brush. Make it a little bit smaller using my bracket keys. Hit D for default. If I use black, it's going to darken it way down. If I use white, it's going to lighten it way up. However, if you change the opacity, I usually do anywhere from 7 to 10. I'll do it at 10% right now, and we'll lighten the waves down here 10% at a time. If you're in white, it lightens. I'm using my mouse, so it's kind of slow and cumbersome to work with. But you can see the difference after you do it. That's
Why
it.
did you have to fill it with that gray?
I don't know if you have to or not, but that's the way I was showed how to do it a long
Okay.
time ago, and it works.
Okay.
And for me, if it works, I don't question it. It's the way I am. If you wanted to darken down, say the cloud area, create a slight vignette, hit X to bring in the black. And again, it's at 10%. And we're creating a little bit of a vignette with the darkening in there. And it pretty much hits the areas of shadow.
So when you're changing the blend mode, you're changing the blend mode on the right with the opacity on the left.
Okay, for blend mode for the brushes, it's all right here.
Okay, because you had it on the,
On overlay,
yeah.
that's the layer blend mode is what I changed.
Right.
So yeah,
So then what's the difference with the one on the left? It's mode.
This would be for what you're doing with the brush. You know what? Let me try something real quick as an experiment. Thank you. Delete that layer. Let's bring in a blank layer. And I'm going to paint in overlay with white. So X. And I'm at 10% again.
That looks way different.
It looks way different. Let's get rid of that and go down to, let's say, 3%. A smaller brush. Whoops.
3%. Where are you 3%?
100.
Oh, it went to 100. Let's go to 0.3. Oh, I know what happened. On my keyboard, my 3 is sticking. So when I hit 0.3, it hit 0, which made it 100%. So it's painting in, there we go. So again, it did kind of the same thing.
I just was hearing when you do that, what you do is you lower your opacity and you use your, what the heck is it? The one next to it, the
Flow?
flow, yeah. The flow, if you make the flow less, it gradually builds up rather than taking off. I don't know.
Or even with the opacity, if you have a very low opacity, it'll build up as well. So there's 2 ways to build it up. One is using flow and one is using opacity. I just use opacity most of the time.
Yeah, they were showing it though, it's different. It goes slower because you're using that flow.
Okay. And what you can do with flow versus opacity is if you, let's bring my opacity to say 54%. Make a small brush so you can see what I'm doing here. If I drag it across and keep going over it, it only will do 54% until you stop painting and then do it again. With flow, so let's take the opacity to 100, flow to 54 or thereabouts. Flow, the longer you hold it on there, the more it does. So I can start off at 54%, but as I hold it, it will paint it all the way up to 100 very quickly. So I can even bring it down to, let's say 10%. It starts off really slight, you can see there, but the longer I hold it, the more it does. So that's kind of the difference between flow and opacity.
I saw it with relationship to, you know, when you cut something out and you want to get rid of some of the edges. If you use the flow, you're more precise in how you're adding and subtracting.
Right. Yeah, just there's like we say, there's 100 ways in Photoshop, and I'm a creature of habit, and it works for me. So that's how I do it. Any other questions on this? Going once, going twice. Cool. Thank you guys. Let me hit record stop.